Good morning and welcome to the Sports Debate Podcast. I'm your host, BA, along with James Martin and Jack Hirsch. Hope you gentlemen are doing good this fine morning. We have good debate questions, of course, courtesy of Jack. And let's get into that real quick here. Which team would it be best for Anthony Richardson to be on next season? Anthony Richardson, of course, the controversial quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, who got replaced by Jack's favorite person. So, what we're gonna go with you on this question, Jack. Daniel Jones. Yeah. So your favorite person. Anyway, I'm gonna go with you on this one first, Jack.
I have nothing against Daniel Jones, since only because you brought him up. I just think his ceiling is only so high, and I went on record as saying if the Colts can sign Daniel Jones to a somewhat team-friendly contract, they should move forward with Daniel Jones, who's a free agent, by the way. And either Daniel Jones is going back to the Minnesota Vikings or he's going to stay with Indianapolis, because I don't see that much of a market on him. But this is about Anthony Richardson. What would be the best fit for Anthony Richardson? You got to wonder, guys, if he wasn't the 4th overall pick in the draft, 4th player selected, and let's make believe he was a 6th-round draft selection, he would be struggling to get a roster spot anywhere, you could say. Because, when people think of Anthony Richardson, they think of potential. That's why the Colts drafted him so high. And I remember what the Colts said when they drafted Anthony Richardson in the 4th round. If he turns out to be great, they'd never forgive themselves if they didn't select him because of all this potential. And that's why the combines are farce. He did these great things at the combines. Everyone got so excited. Oh, what an athlete. So a player can jump high in the air. What's he going to do? Throw a leap pass? Come on with this combine nonsense. Anthony Richardson's main problem is he's gotten hurt a lot. He's a young quarterback. Young quarterbacks are entitled to learn. But the Colts, like most NFL teams, in a win-now mode, they didn't have patience to put up with certain mistakes Anthony Richardson would make. Anthony Richardson also tended to get hurt because, he'd run a little more with the ball than he should. And we've talked on this show, about racism, this and that, and they've held it against Anthony Richardson being a black quarterback. He's doing nothing different from what Jackson Dart does. He holds the ball a little longer. Number quarterbacks do that. So he gets hurt, and we talk, his athleticism, the bad mistakes he's making, blah, blah, blah. He's taken a little bit of a knock, I think, with that, maybe subconsciously with people. But Anthony Richardson competed with Daniel Jones for the starting job last training camp, and I think Anthony Richardson lost it more than Daniel Jones won it because the Colts had this urge to try something different. And in fairness to Daniel Jones, he played really well the first half of the season, real well. I mean, in large part because he had the best running back in the NFL the first half of last season, Jonathan Taylor. But kudos to Daniel Jones. And that left Anthony Richardson in nowhere's land. And the Colts just don't want to move forward with him at this point. He has to go somewhere else. And let's face it, you look at most of the rosters, and they're set with their starting quarterbacks. But in this league, a number of guys could be given second acts who we've given up on to an extent, and they can be franchise quarterbacks. Look at Sam Darnold. He's the best example. Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith. Guys do get other opportunities if they get in the right situation. If Anthony Richardson, the right situation would be the New York Jets. The New York Jets, because if he went to the Jets, he would be starting at some point next season. Even if the Jets decided to open the season with Justin Fields, who they owe $10 million to, who they might keep on the roster, the Jet owner, Woody Johnson, doesn't like Justin Fields. He was complaining last year that he can't even complete a pass. That was pretty demeaning by Woody Johnson, by the way, but he wasn't lying, unfortunately. And Anthony Richardson is going to get his opportunity with the Jets. Now, two things could happen. If it doesn't work out, fine. The Jets will draft a quarterback in next year's college draft, which is draft heavy. And if Anthony Richardson could fulfill his potential to a large degree with the Jets, they don't have to draft a quarterback next year. He's the guy. As long as he's basically healthy for the whole season, they'll move forward with Anthony Richardson. It's an ideal place to land with the Jets. The Jets have nothing to lose. Anthony Richardson has everything to gain. The New York Jets would be the best place for him to land.
Okay. We get on this show 8 o'clock in the morning, and this guy comes on here and says the Jets would be the best place for Anthony Richardson. Man, come on, Jack. I was thinking Jack was going to say a whole nother team. I should have known. I should have kept my first thoughts of Jack as being a homer and going to pull out of his pocket the Jets being a team for this guy. Look, Anthony Richardson is a bit of an enigma. I mean, he played I think he started 15 games when he was at Florida, and he definitely had some level of success, but I agree with you in regarding the injury history. He is highly injury prone, and that could stunt your growth as a player, especially if you haven't had enough snaps. I think that's the other part of it here is that he doesn't have a lot of experience. He has a lot of talent. I get what you're saying in regards to the combine. You can see a guy jump through the roof, throw the ball 70, 80 yards on a dime. I mean, but the thing is, when he got drafted at 4 overall, I did think that was a mistake. I drafted him that high, but he was drafted on potential. But at the same time, there were some flashes as a rookie. I mean, he did some really nice things that he was able. You could see, okay, this kid has a lot of potential, but he needs experience. And he needs to stay healthy. Those are the two main things that set him back in his career, and ultimately got him benched. And found his way outside of, or he's finding his way outside of Indianapolis. With that said, I can't see him having some level of success with the Jets. Jets got to figure their own thing out first before you can bring somebody. You need to be stable before somebody to be successful. In Anthony Richardson, he needs to come into an already stable environment. The Jets haven't had that in years, Jack, and you know that. They gotta have a whole situation stable so he can come in, sit on the bench, sit behind an already established quarterback where he can learn from and pick up because again, he's gonna need that quality starting experience, but they threw him in the fire to the Wolves. They didn't throw him in the fire, they threw him to the Wolves in Indianapolis. So he's going to have to go behind somebody. Yes, exactly, for tapping out. He sure did, which is that's kind of scary. This is the guy that's supposed to be the captain of your team at some point. Look, I think that there's a possibility that if he goes to somewhere where you see there's evidence of revitalization, like Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell and Sam Darnold, maybe we can have a guy come in and sit behind another quarterback. Let McCarthy do his thing. I don't know if he's going to learn anything from him, but they may have to get a couple of quarterbacks. But that wasn't my number one stop. Hold on, Jack. That wasn't my number one stop.
Let that line down. Let McCarthy do his thing. I love it.
You're right. I said learning under a specific coach, though. A coach can help teach a guy to be able to do some things better. Because Sam Darnold, as high, he was picked number 3 overall and had no success where he was anywhere until he. I know Sonya like to say that he had some success in Carolina, but it really wasn't that. All right, he didn't have any success until he got to Minnesota. All right. With that said, I would pick Los Angeles Rams. I like McVay. I like Matthew Stafford. I think a strong arm quarterback, another strong arm quarterback can learn from another strong arm quarterback that has some difficulties in his early years with the particular organization. We're talking about the Lions, but was still very good there, and became a great success. And with McVay, I mean, that he had a team and set up. He knew his strength there, and I think the same thing can happen for this kid. I mean, at least the opportunity would be there for him if he can stay healthy. But I think he would learn under the next couple of years that Matthew Stafford will be there, at least 1 or 2 years. And who knows? Maybe McVay can get the best out of this kid, and you can see an All-Pro or a Pro Bowler.
Well, wait a second. He's been on the sideline. I mean, how much sideline knowledge he's going to get? He was on the sideline last year. You learn by playing. Once a player's played a number of years, I could understand you sit him down for a little while. You sit him down because someone is better than he is, who could perform better, and then maybe he can learn that way, have a reset. I get all that. But you can only reset so much, and that they have a backup quarterback, the Rams. What's his name? The kid from Georgia, Stetson Bennett.
Come on, those are 2 different quarterbacks.
And who knows? And you're retiring Matthew Stafford in 1 year. Matthew Stafford might play 4 or 5 more years. Well, Matthew Stafford could play as long as he wants. He's good enough if he wants to play a few more years.
Right now, he's only committing to year. So I would say you gotta figure in also, Jag. My man had some back issues in the beginning. I'm not saying that he can't play another 4 or 5 years, but the signs are pointing to saying, okay, we can get to another champ. He's probably trying to go for another championship run. If they win a championship, I guarantee you Matthew Stafford's retiring. Physically, the game has paid a toll on him.
Anthony Richardson needs to go somewhere where he can play, and we'll have our answer. Either he can be a starting NFL quarterback or he can't. Reportedly, he did well in the competition against Daniel Jones in training camp. He actually played well, reportedly, but they were tired of everything they were going through with Anthony Richardson a few years before, and the Colts wanted to try Daniel Jones. As far as Kevin O'Connell, why are we hearing about him being this great quarterback guru? This is a guy who's going with J.J. McCarthy over Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones.
Well, that's a financial aspect.
That doesn't make him look like a guru going over those 3, going with J.J. McCarthy. You yourself said they shouldn't have drafted him. The Vikings.
I agree.
I felt he wasn't that good. Brian felt he wasn't that good, and you want him to sit behind let J.J. McCarthy do his thing.
Well, what other options would they have? What other options do they have?
Who gets injured more, J.J. McCarthy or Anthony Richardson? You might have a toss-up there.
What other options would they have right now if they didn't take Anthony Richardson? I mean, outside of McCarthy. I mean, first of all, this is a situation that they're in right now where they invested highly in McCarthy. So they got to try to get some return on him right now. So, and with that, and by you saying that letting Sam Darnold go, that's not on the coach. That's on the GM.
Let me correct you with the Jets. As bad as the Jets are, the best part of their team might be the offensive line. The last couple of years, they drafted, their first round draft choices, they dedicated to the offensive line. And those guys, Membo, Fashanu, they're not bad. They're not bad. I mean,
they're very good.
Right. And there's room for improvement as well with them. The more experience they get. Elijah Vera Tucker's coming back. So it's not a disaster, the offensive line. And Anthony Richardson will be given an opportunity. Let's see if he can stay healthy. But at least if he's given that opportunity and he plays really, really well for the Jets, he's going to be their starter. If he plays well for the he won't get to play for the Rams with Stafford there. So, he's going to be relegated to being a backup.
Yeah, well, I mean, he won't play for them, like you said, but maybe it's his opportunity to be a backup until the opportunity comes to where he can compete to be a starter. And I just say at this juncture, that's where it is, regardless of where he's at. Yeah. He needs to be a backup until he can show that he can actually be a starter in the league.
I guess Brian will render his verdict.
I just say this. Actually, James, you're going to laugh at this. I actually agree with Jack because that's a typical Jets thing to do anyway. But I don't know if I want a career 50.6 completion rate quarterback who's thrown 11 touchdowns and 13 interceptions over the course of his time playing on the Colts. He's a project. He is definitely a project. And I think when the Colts decided to make their change was that one particular play when Richardson got hit because he did not read the defense and did not shift the offensive line. He did not tell the center to shift the offensive line to the blitz part, and he got blitzed from the one side. He didn't see him, and he didn't make out the blitz. Everybody could make out the blitz on that play. I'm sorry. I saw that blitz coming from a mile away. And, dude, if you can't read a defense like that, you got some fundamental issues you have to fix. And it's going to take – a quarterback guru is not going to be – let me tell you something. The reason why that KOC and the Rams coach, they both have the quarterbacks that they do have is because they don't have to do too much with them, okay? They're seasoned quarterbacks. Sam Darnold was a seasoned quarterback with KOC. Yeah, he didn't do a lot with other teams. He's still a seasoned quarterback. And this is what you're seeing in J.J. McCarthy now. He actually has – because he's a quarterback guru. All of a sudden now J.J. McCarthy don't know how to play football. And that goes to the fact that you're putting too much on KOC to be the quarterback guru. If you want to put him on any team, I think San Francisco would be a good team to put Anthony Richardson on because you do have a guy that's a legitimate quarterback guy. He's getting the most out of guys that are just average. If you look at it, both the quarterbacks that play for San Francisco are just average. You may say, oh, well, Purdy is – no, Purdy is an average quarterback. He just has a good team around him. That's the thing, and he's making the most of it. So I just think that – I mean, it would be a Jets thing to do to get Anthony Richardson. I have to agree with Jack. But if he should go anywhere, it should be San Francisco because they'll have time to mess with him. You know what I'm saying? They got quarterbacks on there. He could be a third-string quarterback, and they can fix him.
But it didn't work. Wait. But Trey Lance, it didn't work out with Trey Lance with the Niners. They weren't willing to keep him as a backup. So don't be so sure. And they have Mac Jones as a backup for at least one more year, and then they'll probably have to move on from Mac Jones.
I mean, I get that, but
you all could say the same thing. You all could say the same thing about what I just mentioned in regards to the Rams. I mean. I think McVay is as good as it gets as well. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, who has he created though? I mean, Goff is one guy that he worked with, and he didn't work with him his whole career. So he
but they got to a championship with him.
Yeah.
He drafted him.
But that wasn't with McVay though. That was with a different coach.
That was McVay, sir. That was McVay.
The first time that Goff went the second year,
that wasn't McVay.
I don't think it was McVay. I don't think McVay came after it.
McVay was the coach.
Yeah, he was the coach. Sure? Yeah. But with that said, again, he did something with a lot of. He didn't draft Matthew Stafford, but he put him in a position to win. They won, and they're still successful now. So I'm just saying he could do the same thing for this kid as well in Los Angeles. I'm just Matthew Stafford. I'm not trying to say he's going to retire soon, but I will say that your body takes a beating.
Right. I'll resolve the discussion, and then we can move on to the next question. Let him go to the Jets this year, play, and when it doesn't work out, his next stop could be the Rams, where he could be on the bench and he could learn from McVay.
If it's a disaster I'll say this: if it's a disaster with the Jets, he's probably not going to do much of anything else nowhere else.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So moving on to our next question: should a women's team have a male as its coach? I'm gonna go with you on this one, James.
So this is a very intriguing question. I mean, and my question is there another underlying question here in that? Is it really the question about whether or not why can't women coach in men's professional sports versus should a man be coaching a women's coach? I mean, being a coach, the head coach of women's teams. Reason I ask that is because there's great examples of successful coaches, men coaches in women's teams. We're talking about basketball, UConn, Gino, I can't say his last name. Jack, you probably know who it is.
Aroleta.
Is it? No, it's sure it's Aroleta. Exactly. He's won over 1,200 games. He's got 12 national championships. Exactly. Carl Smesko, Aaron Johnson, Vic Schaefer. These are all levels of success. And then we don't have to just go into basketball. We can go into softball. Roughly 30 to 35% of the coaches are men. And we got guys that have had great successes. We're talking about Mike Candria. 8 national titles, 21 trips to the World Series in 26 seasons, over 1,400 victories. Tim Walton of Florida, among others. My reason for bringing this up is just that why would there be a problem with men being coaches when they're showing they've had success and they played the game? It's really the other way around when you're looking at why isn't there DEI? You're starting to see some women in the National Football League that are assistant coaches now. The first one in 2015 for the Arizona Cardinals, she was a linebackers coach and went on to do some other things. And then some other women coaches that are assistant coaches, Jennifer King, running back coach, Callie Brownson, assistant wide receiver coach. So it's just really more so looking at how things are more flipped around. Why aren't women doing these things in other levels? But men definitely are showing. I don't think there's a problem with them doing it because they're showing a level of success. And they're not dominating the field anyway. So it's like I said, in softball, it's only about 30 to 35%, which is a nice stake in minority, but it's not the majority. So I don't think there should be a problem with it. I don't know what reasoning that there should be to deter why men shouldn't coach in women's teams. They could be. I try to think of some, but it's really a matter of, okay, if I'm in here and we're winning, that's the main thing. I mean, you can look at, if we're going to put in things like maybe harassment or that kind of thing, the opposite, it can go either way. It can go on either side. So I really couldn't think of anything as to why there shouldn't be men coaching. And it's really looking at it as a DEI situation. And then maybe if we're talking about football, have women, maybe we're talking about whether or not people have played the game and not coach. I mean, and coaching. Why should people have the top level jobs without having the level of experience as well of being a player as well? So I mean, but again, I think that men should coach, and in both sports, but I think it also should be the other way around too. So I'm going to leave it at that and let Jack go.
I got to laugh. James is a stat guy. He always brags, I'm a stat guy. And when we were talking about the Rooney Rule, he said there absolutely have to be a lot more black coaches in the NFL based on 70% of the players being black. Well, guess what, James? 100% of the women teams are women. 100% are women. So if you have it that way for the Rooney Rule, for women, there should be a women coach. I mean, I can understand the rare.
Jack, come on. You're contradicting yourself. I just said that women are coaching in the opposite league and they don't play football.
They don't have head coaching jobs. Same thing I could say. Look at all the black.
You don't think that's coming? You don't think that may be coming?
About the head coaching job.
You don't think that may be coming? They're finding their way in.
They do hockey. The women's Olympic hockey team had a man's coach. Nothing against them. The national teams and women in the past have had men coaches. I mean, I don't like it. Rare exceptions I can understand. Rare exceptions, but in all, and it depends on the sport. In the NFL, let's be honest about it. You're not going to find a woman who played the game on the level that the men have. They don't play. It's just not the same. Football,
that's what you're proving my point. You're proving my point.
I'm willing to give a waiver to take basketball and hockey. These women have the same knowledge on how to play the game as the men. The game is played the same way, except they don't have the same physical attributes, as far as speed and power goes, but techniques and how they play the game is the same. We should have women coaches in the NBA, and they can be leaders because these players, for the most part, they've had mothers. They've had
Fair
mothers
enough.
who brought them up. And in a lot of cases, I should say, I take that back. I shouldn't say in a lot of cases, but we've heard stories from great players who were raised only by their mother and the influence that their mothers have had on them as leaders, especially a case like your main man, Isaiah Thomas. His mother, Mary Thomas, was the greatest influence in his life. He listened to anything she would say. She was his ultimate leader. And so women can coach in the NBA, but an all-women's team, it strikes me the wrong way. With all the women out there who are competent as far as who could be good coaches, who play the game, I don't want to see a male coaching an all-women's team like the United States women's hockey team. I just don't want to see it. This is their sport. It's different. It's a different team. The women and men's team, it's the same sport, I meant to say. It's the same sport, but it's different teams.
Come on, Jack. Hold on. You're telling me I value your opinion. I value your thought process, but you're telling me that people who are the fans of those teams that I just mentioned that were highly successful. I mean, again, like was it UConn?
UConn.
No, the softball team. I can't. Mike Condria. He won 8 national titles. You think people are going to be crying about him being the head coach because?
But what about the women's teams like Pat Summitt who've won? I mean, you don't see.
I agree. They have won, but at the same time, if somebody's successful.
Dawn Staley interviewed with the Knicks or didn't interview with the Knicks? Wasn't even considered. Okay.
Well, she should be. I agree. Okay. She should be considered.
The point is for an all-women's team, they should have a women's coach. I don't like the amount of male coaches coaching all women's teams.
It's a minority, Jack. More women coach women's teams. It's a minority. I don't think it's a problem to where, especially if you're winning. Look, I'm not going to argue like if I can't speak for women. I'm not a woman, but if it was the other way around and I'm on a basketball team and a woman was coaching us and we're winning, I'm not going to like, oh, I still don't want a woman coaching us because, she's looking at my package. I mean, oh, God forbid that's the problem.
I'm done speaking. I rest my case. I'll wait for you, Brian.
I'm just saying, man. There should be no. I mean, there should be no discrepancy. I get DEI. I usually don't like to be the woke person in the room. But look, if somebody's winning and you're the opposite sex, you can't argue that. I don't care what it is. If you're winning, I'll let you go, Brian. My bad.
Yeah, you're good. No, you're good. I'm just gonna keep it real, everybody. Sports is archaic. Okay, we still live in a caveman world. Okay, man eat man. That's what it is. It's women are not on the level of the sports that men are. It's genetics. It's just male and female differences. That's just the way it is. And people have a problem with that. You know, put females in male sports that are male dominated. Okay, you're not going to put a female. Female coaches have gotten on NFL teams. True. But I don't think they're ever going to achieve a head coaching position. There's not, because you're not going to be able to too much alpha, too much testosterone in a room for a woman to get to that for an NFL pro team. Maybe college, but for a pro team, that ain't gonna never happen. Hockey, little different. I think the best coaches that would come for a professional view would come from the WNBA, because that's a professional sport. And there's not really a professional women's hockey. There's not really a professional women's football association. And there's not a professional baseball association that is, with women in it. So I think this is where the disparity is going to come from, because we still live in archaic, even though we don't want to feel that way. We want to be as open-minded as James is. And I think everybody wants to be that way. But the problem is, it's not going to happen that way. It's going to take some biblical proportion to get this stuff switched around. And I can't see it happening in professional sports. College sports, a lot better chance of that happening. But professional sports, NBA, WNBA, and NBA.
Right, Brian, but you're not answering the question yourself. Should a women's team, and let's be a little more specific, the United States Olympic women's hockey team, shouldn't they have had a women's coach instead of the male coach? Now they won the gold medal. Kudos to that.
And that answers your question right there. That answers your question right there.
Okay, so then it's okay. It shouldn't make any difference, you feel, whether
Bill Laimbeer coached the Detroit Shock to a couple of championships. Okay. So I'm not, and that's in the professional field. So he was a man coaching a professional team in a woman's professional sport, and they won 2 championships with him. So I'm not, as James said, winning is everything. And if the Knicks were in that desperation mode that they felt that they needed to hire Dawn Staley as a head coach, that tells you a lot about that organization, because you're basically going. I mean, Dawn Staley wouldn't be a bad coach. She's not. She's a great
coach. Her name came
out
there. They didn't seriously consider.
I know it was a circus story. It was a circus story made to draw headlines to New York. I understand that, but at the same time, I mean, it wouldn't have been too much of a transition, because she played professional basketball. She's been in the basketball field for a long time. She's a coach already. I mean, she moved into a professional field in a men's so that she played in as a female. So she can relate to certain things. I'm sure she's not going to walk in the locker room, after the game, after the men are changing, then again, you never know. Men don't even care anymore about doing that, because, hey, you're players. I'm looking at you like players. I'm not looking at you like, females, males, whatever the case is. You got what you got. That's what God gave you, whatever. So, I mean, I have no problem with a male being a woman's coach. As long as they're winning and doing what they're supposed to do and not doing any naughty stuff, yeah, I think that's good. All right, next question. Counting a complete body of work as a player, coach, executive, etc. Which person has the greatest overall career in sports history? This is going to take a lot of work. But go ahead, Jack.
Great question, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, this to me at least, it's an easy answer. Maybe James is going to come up with one that's very thought-provoking to me, and it'll make me reconsider my choice, but I don't think so. It would be Mr. Clutch himself, the guy who has the NBA logo, Jerry West. Because let's forget about him as a player for a moment. Let's make believe Jerry West never played the game of basketball. And I posed a question, who is the greatest NBA executive of all time? It would be Jerry West. It would be Jerry West. The guy was utterly brilliant with all the moves he made. I mean, the amount of the moves. I mean, he's the guy who got Shaquille O'Neal to come to Los Angeles. I mean, he did a number of other things. I don't want to go over his whole body of work as an executive, but he moved around organization to organization when he had a fallout with the Lakers and was highly successful wherever he went. And you look at him as a player. I mean, I think he was the last guy, if not the only guy, who was a finals MVP on a losing team back when he scored 45 points for the Lakers when they lost, in 7 games to the Celtics. What was it, back in like 68 or thereabouts? The guy was just a brilliant player. Johnny Sally, your guy from Detroit, Brian, puts him on his top 5 of all time when they ask him to name the greatest team. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but Jerry West is a top 20 player of all time. He absolutely is a top 20 player of all time. And you talk about the modern players, what they do, what the old timers couldn't do. Go back to the final series against the Knicks, game 3. Time running out, the Lakers are down by 2 points. There's no 3-point shot. Jerry West heaves a shot on the run past midcourt that swishes it in and sends the game into overtime. But he's just a great, great player, great, great executive. And he had a falling out with the Lakers because he criticized Jenny Buss's relationship with the coach, Phil Jackson. He didn't think that was good for the organization. He was actually right. So they always had it in for Jerry West, the Laker organization. But he went elsewhere with great success. And it's got to be Jerry West. I just can't see anyone exceeding him.
That is one of the greatest answers I've heard in a long time. This is one of the greatest questions I've heard in a long time, because that's a very complicated. You look at how players can not only be successful at their level, I mean, at the elite, at the level of of Jerry West as a player, a LeBron James, Michael Jordan, but to get over the other side where things are, you only have limitations when it's in your control, because ultimately everything has to go right from the people that you hire, that you put as head coaches, that you draft as players, things having a relationship with your organization, the ownership. It's a very tough thing to be an exec. It's very underrated. We talk about people like Bill Polian in the NFL, GM, that to be successful at 2 organizations with the Bills and the Indianapolis Colts at the highest level. But to be a player and transition to that position and to be successful takes a lot. And I would say Jerry West is probably one of the best answers here. I considered it. But why not look at a Larry Bird? You're going to look at, I'm almost giving myself here as when I looked at Jerry West and I wanted to pick Pat Riley, but Jerry West picked Pat Riley himself. So that makes Jerry West look even better, because Pat Riley's success, even Pat Riley came out and even said that that was his mentor. He was actually doing commentating before he got plugged into coaching for the Los Angeles Lakers. You have to give Jerry West some credit for him being his mentor and have making him a success as well as a head coach, and then ultimately becoming an executive itself. But with that being said, I like Larry Bird. I mean, Larry Bird was a great player. Jerry West on the player level went 1-8. He went 1-8 as a champion. He went to nine titles games. NBA finals, but he only won one of them. He was a 14-time All-Star and then one-time MVP in '69. But I think Larry Bird as an MVP as well, and as if injuries wouldn't have riddled him, who knows what we're talking about with the Celtics winning. I mean, those battles that they had with the Lakers, that they're winning more championships maybe. But at the same time, Larry Bird went on to become head coach. He was a coach of the year with Indianapolis, and he also became the exec, and he was voted executive of the year as well. So the success level for him has been great as well. But I could see why Jack would pick Jerry West in this situation because of all the level of championships that he's gotten. He's had more success as an executive than he has as a player.
Larry Bird is a stretch. They never won a title. I could understand John Elway. They did win a Super Bowl with him as an exec, but then he flamed out after that. I could name a guy like Phil Rizzuto, great Yankee shortstop who had a phenomenal career in the broadcast booth, that was legendary with the Yankees, kind of guys like that.
Joe Torre too.
Joe Torre is a player, then is a manager. Michael Jordan, I'm not sure whether you mentioned he was a lousy owner.
He was a lousy owner for sure.
If he was a great owner and they won an NBA title, then you would consider him. It's if we want to dig back into the past, and I'm guilty of not researching this before the show, I got to come clean. The name of Otto Graham comes to mind. Great quarterback, and he coached for years. I have to study his coaching resume, but I believe there were championships involved.
You're also missing Bill Russell. Bill Russell, 11 championships as a player, but 2 as a coach.
But that was a continuation on the Celtics, where he became a player coach, and then he coached afterwards, and he was a so-so coach with the Seattle Supersonics. See, where he was so-so. Had they taken their game up the team a few levels and he was a phenomenal coach, then you consider him perhaps, but no.
But to answer Richard's question, he mentioned Pat Riley. That was one of my choices.
Wasn't a great player, James. He was.
No, I'm just saying yes. But as a coach and an executive, he was great. I mean, but whether he was a great player or not, look, you could say that he won a couple of championships as a player.
Let me just break it down to you simple. Pat Riley as a player was not in Jerry West's league as a player, and Pat Riley as an executive wasn't as good as Jerry West as an executive. Even though Pat Riley was an exceptional executive, I'm going to give him that. He was exceptional, and he has the coaching. If you combine his coaching and him as an executive, you could put him on Jerry West's level outside, off the court, and maybe even a little ahead of Jerry West if you want to include the coaching. Even if I give you that, he's nowhere near Jerry West as a player. So when you average all that in, that puts Jerry West ahead of him.
Did Jerry West coach?
He didn't want to coach. He was forced into coaching for a little bit with the Lakers, and he hated it. He could have stayed on as the Laker coach instead of Pat Riley, but he insisted, he didn't want it, that Pat Riley have the job.
So you're talking about a guy that just was a player and an executive, not a coach. Do we have a player that's actually achieved all that? And being a coach and an executive?
Riley.
Yeah, Riley's the only one that has achieved all 3 of those. I'm not saying that he was good as a player.
And also Larry Bird. Larry Bird as well. Larry Bird too.
And Larry Bird.
And Phil Jackson, yes.
The Pacers weren't that good. Phil Jackson was awful as an executive. Isaiah was a great player, obviously, an all-time great. He was okay coach at best. I mean, I'll give him that. I'll say he's really average. Maybe let's say a little better than average if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt. And he flamed out as an executive. It didn't really work with the Knicks.
I mean, I'd give you Joe Dumars too. I mean, he was a player. He's a pretty good executive.
Well, yeah, but look what's going on. With
he's not on
I like obviously, Joe Dumars. He's good man.
Yeah, but this is the first year in New Orleans. I think the jury's still out there. But I would say Joe Dumars has had success on both levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but guys,
I mean, he's not a level of Jerry West.
But to answer your question, I mean, I might have to concede to Jerry West in that regard. Yes.
Just consider this: Jerry West was a superstar. A superstar. He was considered kind of like the Larry Bird before there was Larry Bird. I mean, Oscar Robertson was a little better than Jerry West, in all fairness, but that was the mentality back in the day. Jerry West was white, Oscar was black. Jerry West played for the Glamour franchise and the Lakers, who were much better than the Cincinnati Royals, who the Big O played for. But Jerry West was a genuine superstar back in the day.
Yes, without a doubt. I agree. I don't think there's none of that pertains to the question here. The question is how I mean, who was the greatest overall, coach, player?
Body of work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Body of work. So yeah. And we didn't see Big O do any of the other things.
It's rare that you have a player that is extraordinary at each of those positions.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, Jerry West is probably the closest. Anyway, speaking of the NBA, which NBA team will be under the most pressure entering the playoffs this year? Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the New York Knicks. I mean, at the very least, they got to get to the finals. If they don't get to the finals, the year is a complete waste. It's a disaster. Assuming everyone is healthy on all the teams. Obviously, if a key guy like Jalen Brunson was out during the whole playoffs and they didn't get to the finals, people give a team a pass. This is with any team, if their star guy is out. So I shouldn't even mention that. So maybe I should retract that statement. But all factors equal, all the teams are healthy, ready to go. How can you accept the Knicks getting eliminated short of the playoffs? I don't want to hear that the Pistons have improved. The Cavaliers now have James Harden. The Celtics are completely healthy. That Jason Tatum is back for the playoffs, etc., etc. Knicks got to get there. They made a coaching change. They went to Mike Brown, who I happen to like, by the way. I think he's a solid coach, not a spectacular hire, but he's a solid coach, a good guy, knows the game. But they moved on from Thibodeau. If they don't get to the finals, we're going to be hearing the way they should have stayed with Thibodeau, even though he didn't get the Knicks to the finals. And this is it. Finals are bust. We're not even talking winning the NBA championship. We're talking about getting over the hump and winning the East. They just got to get there. Any other team won't be under the same pressure. OKC's already won it all. People aren't going to get upset with them. The Celtics have won it all recently. The Cavaliers are under some pressure. The Pistons have overachieved this year. They might be as good as their record says they are. I'm not saying they're not. But if the Pistons don't get to the finals, the Detroit fan base is excited. They might even be thinking maybe we might be able to do it this year, but if not this year, the future looks great for us, next year. But for the Knicks, the future is now. There's no looking ahead. They don't get to the finals. They can't run it back with the same squad. They can't. If you want to talk about the Lakers, I mean, it's the usual old talk with the Lakers. They're not getting to the finals with Luka, LeBron. They're good soap opera fodder for the Stephen A. Smiths and the J Trains to talk about.
Sure.
Houston Rockets with Durant. I complimented you, James. I love Stephen A. Smith to listen to him, But I thought I'd give you a little dig there, have a little fun. The Houston Rockets with Durant, it's probably the same old story. The Warriors along in the tooth, Anthony Edwards. I think the Timberwolves, usual story that's going to come short, and we're used to accepting that. It's got to be the Knicks.
So when I looked at this question, this is not the first time you've asked this question in regards to pressure on a team. I think our viewpoints regarding pressure differs. That's why we're in a debate show, and it's great. And I like to come with the contrast here. I just don't think that it's pressure. First of all, picking the Knicks to be Jack. This is the second time you've just shown your homer. Opened up your shirt. Yeah, he liked the Knicks too. I think so. It's a New York team. He's a New York guy. So I mean, with that said, man, there's no pressure on the Knicks, man. When the last time they won a championship, let alone been to one? I mean, '99 was the last time they been to one, and then last time they won one, I was born, I think. Oh my goodness, there's no pressure on the Knicks. Only in New York is there pressure. Nobody's even checking for them to think that they're going to win, even sniff a championship. I think the pressure is on teams who have a short window. To me, that's the way the CBA is set up with the first and second apron. When luxury tax start building up, and you have a small window when you got your team established, like the Boston Celtics. We got Derek White, he's highly paid. We got Jason Tatum, he's highly paid. We got Jaylen Brown, he's highly paid. This is your core players here, but you have a short window that you can keep all of these guys, and you have a short window where you can keep small, or you are restructuring or building around them, that core. They got under the second apron, but barely. They had to get rid of some players, Porzingis, Drew Holiday, core players that got in their first championship. And then, of course, the unfortunate injury to Jason Tatum, who's still not back yet, but they have pressure on them, but they still have an opportunity in this window right now to be competitive in the East to get to the NBA Finals, because they're 5.5 games behind the Pistons, and they have an opportunity to get there. So I think the biggest thing for them is to be competitive and try to win now, because at the end of the day, when they get to that 26-27 season, there's going to be some changes coming, because you can't, it's unavoidable. That CBA is constructed to where you can't keep giant dynasties anymore. It's just not constructed like that. There's no dynasties in the NBA anymore. The last one was the Warriors, and you're not going to see that anymore. It's just not going to happen, because you can't keep the same. It's unfortunate, because you look at a team like OKC, they got their players from ground up organically, except SGA. But 1 year after his rookie year, he went straight there. So virtually you can say that's his team. And they're going to have problems in the future at some point. Once the apron kicks in, you're going to have to start making changes. So the Celtics figured it out. They got a player by the name of Nemanja Queta. He's a center there. He's an elite defender, 7-foot guy that's helping them out. There's no Al Horford in the center anymore, but now you got a legit center that's 7 foot that can play efficient offense but play elite defense. That's helping them out right now, I think, in the absence of having a Jason Tatum. But that's my viewpoint of having pressure on you as a team, not a team that hadn't won anything since 1975. There's no pressure on you, because nobody's expecting you to win. So I think the pressure is on the team that's trying to remain a dynasty in a new construct that's been put in the NBA, and is trying to figure it out and win in that short window that they have.
Yeah, I get both of your points, actually, and I like both of your points. Both of those teams, I think everybody in the Eastern Conference that's going to be in the playoffs has pressure put on them, because you have to go and get in the championship to play the juggernauts that are in the West. That's pressure right there, because the West is far superior right now than the East is. So I would say that I would count the teams that are in the playoffs, that are going to be in the playoffs, at least the top 5. That's going to be pressure on all of them, because they got to win that. And Boston probably would be in that good situation where they could be the team that might be able to knock off a Western Conference team, because once Tatum comes back, that team's formidable. I mean, it's more formidable than it is now. They're hanging in there pretty well. I just don't see the Knicks. I don't know. I think that I don't know, man. The Knicks.
You guys are both missing the point. That's what you don't know. You're both missing the point. No, this is it. The Celtics have already won an NBA championship. If they don't win one years from now, they're going to look back. They got to the mountaintop. It's not in the Knicks. This is it. They have to get there. They haven't gotten there yet. Even the 76ers. No one expects them to win the NBA championship, but they have a long shot chance, okay? A team like the 76ers, long shot. But the expectations aren't there. The Pistons have high expectations, but they also know they have their core players with them next year. They have a lot to look forward to. If they don't do it this year, they still have exceeded expectations. I could understand the Cavaliers now that they got Harden. They're in absolutely a win now mode. That they're under a lot of pressure. I get it. You could maybe pick them ahead of the Knicks or put them on a par with the Knicks. But this is it with the Knicks are truly get to the finals or bust. I mean, that's it. Get to the finals or bust. No other way to look at it. OKC's already won a championship. San Antonio's got a great future with Wemby. The expectations have a lot to do with it. And the Knicks are, I think, on a desperation mode this year. They don't do it this year. They're never going to do it with the team they have.
You're never going to do it, then. The Knicks are just,
I don't think so either, Jack. I think the mistake they made was letting Tom Thibodeau go.
Yeah, I think it is too. Yeah. I mean, that means you're just putting pressure on yourself because you went around the whole Thibodeau thing the wrong way. You got rid of him as a coach when he wasn't doing a bad job as a coach at all. And now you're putting it in another coach's hands to get you to a finals. You're putting pressure on yourself. That's not. I understand where you're coming from with the pressure, but that's just self-inflicted pressure.
Mike Brown is a good, solid coach, but he ain't better. He ain't in a poor position. He inherited a really good team, but it's either get to the finals or you failed. I mean, that's a tough gig to take. If he doesn't get to the finals, people aren't going to be happy with Mike Brown.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I like both of your points. I think Boston is equal to that task too.
I give you pressure on the head coach. I'll give you that.
Pressure on how for Mike to bring it home. Actually, in the whole organization itself, not even on the players, just the organization itself. Yeah. Because it's self-inflicted pressure. Like I said, you did this to yourselves.
Yeah. We got like a minute left. Going back to the other question for fun, how about a name like the best body work? Frank Gifford, great player with the Giants and had that great broadcast career. Charles Barkley, had he won as a player a couple of NBA titles, he's kind of iconic in the broadcast booth.
Charles Barkley probably has 12 championships in broadcasting just for how crazy he is.
And guys, years from now, if Tom Brady establishes himself as a great broadcaster, then how can you not give it to Tom Brady if he is a top-of-the-line broadcaster, considered one of the best in the business?
If he goes Russell, he'll be even better.
Stay on for 1 minute after the show. I just want to mention something to you.
All right. Well, that's going to conclude today's show. Do join us again next Saturday at 8 p.m. Same cast involved, and we'll debate some more sports topics. Everybody have a great Saturday. Adios.